Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Thursday, August 8th, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions, maybe less bad ones. We do that by asking you to do a little bit of work. Go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, send us your note. If you would like to join us live, we would love you to just check that box, and Mark will do everything else. While you're on the website, check out the content that lives there, including our free weekly newsletter. It's so great. It comes out every Friday. And our YouTube show, we've got a link to that. It's called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. Okay, let's get to one of you. It is listener Michael from the Grain Belt. Michael, what is the definition of the Grain Belt exactly?
Well, I think it's the heart of the Midwest where a lot of agriculture exists, specifically corn, wheat, all the wonderful things we like to consume at the dinner table. A lot of them are produced right here in the Midwest.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. Michael, what's going on? How can we help you out?
Yeah, so like a lot of people, I think I'm trajectorying upwards, in terms of annual revenues and things like that. And along the way, I became an entrepreneur as well. And I'm just kind of at that crossroads between income, age, and some things that are happening in life. I want to make sure I go the right direction, that I don't, avoid some pitfalls and make sure I don't lose money that I shouldn't lose in terms of like handing more to taxes, lawful tax avoidance, things like that.
Lawful.
Trying to keep...
I like lawful. We just, we like to say we like to be smart with tax strategies. That's why we don't like the word avoidance. Michael, how old are you?
I'm 46.
And you're married?
I am not married.
Oh, did you say you had kids?
I have 3 kids, yeah.
3 kids, not married?
I was married for a while, but I got 3
right.
beautiful children, and they're all young adults at this point.
Oh, my gosh. How old are they?
I have 27, 19, and 18.
Okay. Do you support 19 and 18? Is that part of like your cash flow needs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that they ever are truly out of the picture at that age. So thankfully, the 19 is joined the military and doing his own path, which is going great. Mm-hmm. The 27 is actually the full-time manager operator of one of my businesses I opened.
Oh.
And then my 18-year-old, my baby girl, she is debating on college or military today. Literally, she's going through MEPS for the military today to decide.
Oh, my God. So is that worrisome for you? Like, how do you feel about that?
It's not bothering me too much. Like, if they feel the passion and the call to serve in that capacity, then I'll encourage it. Everybody gets a little nervous. Obviously, you don't want your baby to get hurt or be in harm's way. But
yes.
but I appreciate the desire to go to that calling or to serve.
Oh my God, you're so good. I'd be like, no way, you're not going. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
that's I'm a nervous Nelly. So, Michael, you're an entrepreneur. So, is this in addition to a full-time gig, or is this now you've gone solo into the entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So to walk through that, I've been in the public service sector for 25 years. I'm a supervisor in that world, and still continue to do that full-time job to this day.
How much do you earn there?
This year should be about $120K.
Okay. So you do that full time, and the public service, that I imagine that means you have a pension that will be coming floating into your life?
Yes. Thankfully, we have what's called a defined benefit pension. Mm-hmm. Basically, if you go 22 years, you earn 66% of your top 3 years, and then for every year after that, you max out at 30 years, you earn 82%.
And how long have you been in?
25 years.
Is your goal to like give your notice at the end of this year, or do you want to what do you think?
Yeah, I think realistically I'm somewhere in the 1 to 3 year timeline.
And so you will receive, let's just say 66 or 70% of your final of like this 120-ish.
Well, that would give me I would only be 4% short, so I'd get 78%.
78% of
my top 3 year average.
Oh my God. That's amazing, isn't it? Like, I mean, I know you've earned it. You've worked hard and you've been in the system, but that's pretty amazing. Tell me more about what you like, the entrepreneurship. Like, how are you managing that business? Are you taking a salary from that right now? Because right now, whatever, in 1 or 3 years, you're going to have like $100,000 a year in your defined benefit. But what else are you earning?
Yeah, so basically about 8 years ago, I started buying, like a lot of people, buying a few rental houses and things, trying to get involved in real estate and some, appreciable assets over time. And I don't know if it was my wise choices or dumb luck, but along the way, I was pretty successful at it. So as I started to buy real estate, obviously at some point, I started to think, hey, real estate is awesome as long as you hold on to those assets for 30 years. You buy, let's say, a nice $200,000 house here, and you hold on to it for 20 years. Yeah, it might be a $500,000 house, but it takes 20 years.
Right.
It takes a long time.
Right.
So I kind of shifted my thinking a little bit. I started selling some of the properties, and I invested in an existing franchise business that was here in town that was open.
Cool.
It had been open for 11 years. The owners were fairly absent, so I saw some value add. I bought that business, and I now am happy to say that the business is in the top 5 of the franchise company.
Wow.
For growth. So let's say the last year and this year, so I've owned it going on 3 years now. Last year netted about $95K. This year is probably going to be about $125K. And again, I'm at that point where that counts towards, my AGI and things like that. So one, I start to worry about, hey, how do I keep some of this money? How do I not give it back?
Yeah.
And then while doing that, I owned an apartment building, and I wasn't trying to sell it. And a buyer came knocking on the door and said, hey, I want to buy your building. So I also got to dive into like the 1031 like in kind exchange game,
Yep.
So I ended up buying a bigger commercial building, and then I remodeled that building and turned that into a business. So now I have another business over there that last year did about 70 net. This year should be about 110.
When you say net to you or net to the business, because I know that you said that you have a son who's in business with you.
Yeah,
So that's
the 70 would have been to me as in income I'd have to claim.
Got it.
That I could take home. Yep.
I got you. Now all of a sudden you're making a ton of money. You got 125 from the franchise, 110 from this other business, plus your salary of 120, which is going up to 128. So like this is all a lot of money. What are you doing awash in your cash?
Hold on, it gets better. So in about 2 weeks, I'm supposed to close on another business I'm buying from another guy.
Yeah.
And the last 3 years, that business has grossed about $400K and netted him about $90K.
All right. So this is third business number 3.
Yeah.
These are unrelated to one another?
100%.
Okay, interesting. That's a lot. I mean, you got to get out of public service. I'm sorry to lose you, but like that's a lot to manage.
Well, at some point it does. As you know, your business only runs as good as the people with you. So
yes,
having some awesome people makes life a lot easier. So so far, I do put in a lot of work and time to keep them afloat, but I'm not overwhelmed.
Okay.
But I also am starting to now run into other problems, as people with more money than me say, more money, more problems. At some
I like
point,
those. But by the way, I love those problems. Thank you.
So at some point, like, oh, shoot, do I start phasing out of my ability to Roth? Do I start phasing out of, like, am I stuck throwing all this into brokerage accounts? Or can I, that's kind of why I wanted to reach out to you.
I totally get it. This is fascinating because, I mean, there is a lot of money and you're single. So, there's not a lot of, you don't have a ton of deductions. So let's just go through a couple of other things, Michael. So right now you've got the 3 businesses, got those. And those, let's just say together, those are going to net you. I'm going to make it up. 300, let's say 350. We're going to talk about next year mostly because now you're already screwed from this year because you got your current income, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's say that you're going to sort of say net to Michael is 350. And that, that puts you in the 35% tax bracket. So you're up there, man. So my question to you is this. Do you own a home, like a personal primary residence? I presume yes, right?
I do. It has some mortgage debt, but I do own a home, yes.
How much is it worth?
Right now, probably about $485.
Okay. And what's the mortgage that remains on that, Michael?
Probably about $180.
Okay. What's the interest rate?
2 3/4.
Great. And so you've done most of your saving. You have your defined benefit. Do you also have a defined contribution plan through public service? You have like a 457 plan?
I have a 457B, which would be the governmental version of that. So has its own nice benefits as well. But I have basically only done the company match in that.
Mm-hmm.
So right now there's basically $100K in there.
Okay. And what other savings have you used so far?
Savings that I have on hand or that I've been.
Let's not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about the real estate for a second, but let's just talk about like savings and investment. Do you have a brokerage account?
I do not have a current brokerage account.
Okay. And what about just boring money in the bank?
Probably $300K.
Okay. And if you tallied up, I mean, because so it's not just the franchise or the business, but you own real estate. Can you give me a sense of the value of all that real estate that you have right now? Not including your primary, but like the stuff for the businesses.
Yeah, not counting personal residence.
Yes, exactly.
Probably about 1.1 million.
Okay. With mortgages or no mortgages on those?
There's some mortgages, yes.
Mm-hmm. Like, again, guesstimate, because we're not selling these properties.
I would say it's a little over half of that value.
Okay. So, all right. So we'll say like 600-ish.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the businesses themselves also have business value in terms of like if I were to sell them.
Sure. What do you think that is? And be conservative because you're not
selling 100%
them.
Conservative. I would say the one that has real estate and business is probably $600K.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that's the franchise that leases its space is probably around $300 to $350K.
Okay. And this newest one, business number 3?
Again, that'll be on a leased space.
Okay.
So probably a value of about 175.
So we'll say like you got like 1.1 million of business valuation, basically, right?
Yeah, probably in that range.
Okay,
Yep.
Great. Here's an interesting question for you. You have all this cash flow. Is that why the 300,000 has been accumulating in the bank?
Well, and I would say some of that is just my conservative mindset. Like I don't run out and buy the newest car and that. So I just tend to be a saver, but I'm trying to loosen those strings a little and not be such a hardcore saver. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, the interesting thing is, so each business operates separately, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the question I have is whether we put in a solo 401k. I mean, you have employees in each of these places, right? So we're going to have to, it wouldn't be a solo. You have to actually put in a retirement plan for everyone. Have you thought about that yet or not, Michael?
Well, it's part of the reason I reached out to you initially here is because, so let's say the 457B that I have that I've only taken the, 2.5%, 3% match over the years. Obviously, I could max that out. So I'm only putting in, $300 a month right now or $300 every biweekly check.
Yeah. Yep.
I could max that out, and that's tax deferred and tax advantaged. And the beauty of being a 457B and governmental is there's also no penalty if I draw prior to 59.5 because it's termination of employment.
Yeah, although you're never going to need to pull that out.
Yeah, so I'm just saying I could max that out, but I think that's capped at 23,000.
Yeah, it's 23 this year, and you're not, unfortunate. I mean, happily for you, you're not 50. But the other thing is, I think that along with that, I think that the question becomes, should you be putting in some sort of other retirement plan? Because the other thing about the 457B is that you can put it in and it can run concurrent with another plan. Now, you have to talk to somebody. You really have to talk to a CPA about this. I think that you can. I'm not 100% sure. You have to check this. But I think you can put up a total of like $69,000 into a SEP. But how many employees do you have?
Let's see. The franchise business, I average between 7 to 12 employees, counting, for total staff. And then the business that my son runs, we're slower in the summer. It's semi-seasonal. So in the winter, we swell to 8 to 10 people, and in the summer we're down to probably 4.
But are those full-time employees usually?
I would say I have 3 full-time and a bunch of part-time.
Okay. And the one you just bought, business number 3?
That'll have probably 3 to 4, with 2 of them being full-time.
I think you got to talk to somebody. I think you have to talk to somebody about the way we can install a separate retirement plan that runs alongside your public. And by the way, you should be thinking about leaving this public service sooner rather than later. This is a lot this is a lot to run. Also working full time. It really is.
Yeah,
and then,
it is.
And I think that what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to talk to somebody who will help you establish a retirement plan. Now, do you work with a CPA? Because you got a wacko tax situation right now.
I do work with a CPA, and I will tell you this. I don't know if this throws a wrinkle into that SEP plan or not. Last year, that CPA recommended that I incorporate to save the 15.3% self-employment tax I was getting hit with.
Did you get is it a C Corp or is it an S Corp or an LLC?
I opened an S Corp, so all my business LLCs are under that S Corp.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think that does anything to this. This is what you should talk to the CPA about is if you have this corporation, should you put in a 401k plan? The 401k would be for your benefit, but also for the employee's benefit. And it's a nice thing to do when your kid's working there. So you want to give the kid a way to sock some money away. So what I would do is I would talk to the CPA and say, I think I want to open my own retirement plan. Now, maybe you don't do it this second while you're still working. It's okay. Either way, it's fine. But I think you should start talking about what is the best way to do that? And the thing is, it's kind of sucky because you have to hire like a company to help you manage it. But you should talk to the CPA and say, should I do a 401k? Should I do a SEP IRA? Should I do a simple IRA? And ask about like what that they think is the best way for you to establish a plan for yourself and your employees. That's number one. I think that would be my first question. And, for now, you can put more money into the 457B. It's fine. You could max that out. It's fine. You're going to have tons of cash flow. But I do think that if you have another plan in place, you'll be able to run on sort of like, it's like, think of that as two separate parts of your life, employee and owner, right? As owner of this company, I'll be able to make other contributions. And someone needs to test this, but I think it's important. And then what you have to do is capture all this cash flow and start building a brokerage account. So the CPA is a good guy? Like you like him?
Yeah. He's very, I would say like-minded in terms of wanting to build and maintain wealth. So
right, and also like by the book, no shenanigans, right?
100%. That's why I use the term lawful tax avoidance.
Yeah, I hear you.
Trying to find tax advantage ways to keep more money, I guess.
Yeah. So I think the other thing that you should do is talk to him about how you might be able to work with maybe, I don't know if you want this or not, but maybe you need to talk to a financial advisor. Maybe you need a certified financial planner or someone who can help you capture all this money, put it into a brokerage account, put it into another retirement account, and make sure that all of this cash flow is not just like kind of sitting in a savings account. We want to make sure you capture it, right?
Yeah, that's 100%. Like the 401k idea in the next year or so sounds awesome. I think that's the other main question I had was, all right, I'm cash heavy right now as well. Is there anything I should be doing opportunity cost wise, or just in terms of dead money sitting there? You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a better plan.
How much money do you really like to have on hand? Because you're running 3 businesses. I presume you have 3 business accounts, right? 3 different business accounts.
The one has probably 150 cash in the bank. The other one has probably 80 cash in the bank, and then the rest is in like personal accounts.
Okay. Well, I mean, first of all, you have to figure out how much cash you need to have on hand for each of these businesses. If it is like, do I really need to keep it in a bank? Should I be running my cash management through an investment company? And I'm just going to throw names out there. Like, should I be having an account at E-Trade? Should I be having an account at Fidelity or Vanguard and run my business accounts off that with check writing? Or do I need a bank? Or should I talk to the bank about keeping a certain amount of money in there and then buying a couple CDs as just a little background, like, I need a little something here. But I think that cash management is one issue. The second issue is how do I start funding retirement? And the third would be, once you figure out how much money you really need versus what you, like on hand, whatever you don't need, we would open a brokerage account. And that brokerage account would be very boring. Your life is incredibly complicated in some respects. Like the complexity of owning 3 different businesses is a lot, plus being an employee. So it would be very boring. I like some money in a stock index fund, some money in a bond index fund, and some money in an international fund, like not going crazy. But this is why I think you also, because of the complexity of your life, this is why I think you might want to seek having a planner in your life. I think this could be the kind of person you can grow with. And It's really interesting. And look, it may be that, if you say to your CPA, sorry, hey, I need to work with someone to help me like really manage this money. Now, the CPA might say, I can help you do that, but don't do that necessarily. Build your team out. So say, I really want someone who does this for a living, the actual planning part, a certified financial planner, or, someone who's like National Association of Personal Financial Advisors, someone who can really hold your hand and also be there with you as you grow. This is going to be, I think you're going to have a lot of money on hand. I really do. Just like these are cash flow positive businesses that are really clicking along. And these are the kinds of businesses that can help you fund a lot. Now, of course, you're always going to be in a crapo tax bracket, right? Because you're going to have your defined benefit plan and all this income. So we want to make sure that you're working with someone who can help you really think about, what is my tax position? What is the best way forward? Because it sounds like you like what you do. Like this is going to be a whole second life for you. You're going to put your 25 or 28 years in. Amazing. But then, you know what? Like you're always going to have money now, which, I mean, it's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah. I'd like to play Monopoly someday. Someday I want to trade all these little businesses off for the largest, biggest semi-passive, commercial property, something I can maybe not be so hands-on and as I go into retirement.
Dude, you won't even need that. You could put all this money, you could sell all your businesses and get all your money and be like, I've got $12 million. We just had a guy who's like, I have $8 million sitting around invested, and that will spin off a ton of money for you. So I think we need to get you a little bit more focused. Oh, one last thing before I let you go. You need estate planning for real, because when you are a small business owner, it is incumbent upon you to make sure that you have an idea of like what happens if you drop dead tomorrow. Is the 18-year-old and the 19-year-old who are in the military, what are they going to do? What's the 27-year-old? Can they really do? Like, you're going to have to really be thoughtful about that.
Yeah, 100%. I have, again, as some of this success happens, it happens quickly, and suddenly you go from 9-to-5 guy to what do I do with all this? So ultimately I have some personal estate planning, but and when it comes to the businesses and that, it's not as well or comprehensive as it should be.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to get focused. You're going to get your team together. So we need your CPA on board with a CFP or some sort of advisor who's a fiduciary and an estate lawyer. That's your team. Build out your team. What an amazing story. My goodness, Mark, these very, very entrepreneurial stories lately have been so fascinating. So congratulations to Michael. And we are here for you if you need more help. But especially when you come into money, whether it's a lump sum or a business is taking off, I do love the idea of building your team. So that's the key with being a business owner, is to make sure you've got the right people around you. So if this is you, if you are building something, you're starting the process, or you're just like Michael and saying like, wait, I like being a public service employee, and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I need some help with my pension options or whatever. Anything that needs a little assistance, go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, write us a note, let us know if you'd like to come on the air. And don't forget that you can sign up for our free weekly newsletter right on the website. Subscribe to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcast. Of course, lift someone up. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.